necessarily reflect those of ownership, management, or advertisers of this station.
Get up on out the bed and start to move your balls. Wake up the word and Solomon Jones. Word. You better wake up now.
You're here because you know something. What you know you can't explain, but you feel it. You felt it your entire life. That there's something wrong with the world. You don't know what it is, but it's there. You can feel it.
Get up on out the bed and start to move your balls. Wake up the word and Solomon Jones. Word. You better wake up now.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD, and I want to welcome you to another edition of Wake Up with Word. Just a beautiful day out today. Hope you enjoyed your Labor Day. I enjoyed mine. Got to spend some time with my family. Of course, my son over this weekend turned 16 years old. It is unbelievable to watch the time fly. I can remember a presidential election when I took him into the voting booth with me and allowed him to push the button for a particular candidate that I thought that he should know about and understand. It was Barack Obama. He was 4 years old, and time has flown, man. It has been quite a journey, and happy birthday to my son, Solomon Jones the third. And of course, it is beautiful outside today. We are going to be celebrating today, but we got some serious stuff that we need to talk about. Starting with this, as the presidential campaign moves into high gear, Trump's people are looking for ways to label Kamala Harris. They're digging up quotes from the primary debates and trying to label her as a radical who wants to burn down America. In other words, Trump wants to lie about the system the same way he lied about Barack Obama. The question is this: will we let him? Because we already know she's not some radical. In fact, she was a prosecutor who worked within the system. We know that she came hard at Biden during the debates because she wanted to win. And while we should question all of that, while we should get answers on all of that, we need to look at what's happening right now. Right now, Kamala Harris is doing what Trump won't do, talking to the family of Jacob Blake, the black man shot in the back by Wisconsin police. Right now, Kamala Harris is doing what Trump won't do, speaking to issues of racism and police reform. Right now, Kamala Harris is doing what Trump won't do, wearing a mask so maybe others will follow her example and stop the coronavirus from spreading. We all need to do what Trump won't do, acknowledge the truth, spread the truth, and vote on what's best for us this November. We got a hot show for you today on Wake Up with Word as we approach 190,000 deaths in America from the novel coronavirus. We'll talk with Dr. Elena McDonald and Dr. Delana Wardlaw about what's next. CNN commentator Roxanne Jones on the Trump campaign's plan to attack Kamala Harris and more. Plus, lawyer and critical race theorist Dr. Tim Golden on the Trump administration's plans to stop federal agencies from having racial sensitivity training based on what else? Critical race theory. And as always, we've got you, our listeners, calling in at 215-634-8065 or toll free 1-866-361-0900. You can hit us on Twitter and Instagram at onWURD, or you can hit me personally at Solomon Jones 1. Watch us on Facebook at onWURD. But first, it's the big three, the news stories you need to know to kick off your day right here on Wake Up with Word. Story number one. On Thursday night, The Atlantic published a bombshell story that alleged, citing four anonymous sources, that President Donald Trump had repeatedly mocked U.S. soldiers killed in battle and skipped a visit to a veteran cemetery in France out of concern that the rain might mess up his hair. That's right. He called them losers and suckers, according to these sources, and the report immediately became a massive story. Democrats, including Joe Biden, rushed to condemn Trump. The White House, of course, pushed back against the story. Jeffrey Goldberg, who authored the Atlantic piece, stood by his reporting, So guess what? Somebody lying. And even though a former senior administration official already confirmed to CNN that Trump referred to fallen U.S. soldiers at a French cemetery in insulting terms, and Fox News also confirmed some of the details in the story, let's take a look at Trump's record. Just yesterday, he claimed that his own military officials, that's right, guys, he put in those positions, want to wage wars to boost the profits of defense manufacturing companies. In 2015, Trump said John McCain, who served in Vietnam and was held for 5 years as a POW, was not a war hero. He's a war hero because he was captured, he said. I like people who weren't captured. He also called John McCain a loser. In 2016, Trump said Khazir Khan, a Muslim father who lost his Army captain's son in Iraq, was a puppet for Hillary Clinton. When Army Sergeant LaDavid Johnson was killed in Niger in 2017, Johnson's wife and a Florida Democratic congresswoman said that Trump had told her on a phone call that her husband, quote, knew what he had signed up for, unquote, and the wife said that Trump could not remember her husband's name. Trump, of course, denied all of that. Last fall, Trump called his former Secretary of Defense, James Mattis, a highly decorated Marine, the world's most overrated general. While campaigning in Iowa in November 2015, Trump said, I know more about ISIS than the generals do. There's more, a whole lot more, but you get the idea. That ought to help you answer the question, who's lying? Story number 2, Philadelphia's gun violence crisis has shifted into high gear. It surged in August to the highest levels since at least 2007. 275 people were shot, by far the highest total for a single month since at least 2007. It was the 4th consecutive month that the victim tally has increased to heights not seen in years, according to police statistics. 2 17-year-olds killed in a South Philadelphia drive-by that wounded 2 other teens. 5 people were shot at a North Philly block party for a slain basketball star. 6 people were struck in East Germantown when gunmen fired more than 30 bullets at a crowd on the street. A wayward shot flew into an apartment and struck a man sleeping in his bed. And on weekends, it's become routine for dozens of people to end up killed or wounded, including women or children. So we need to keep working on this issue. We need to keep fighting on this issue. We need to keep pushing on this issue because guess what? Our lives matter. Guess what? We need to stop shooting each other. Guess what? We need to find some alternatives to these streets, man, and we are continuing to do that work. So many organizations doing that work, from Mothers in Charge to Black Male Community Council to of course, Man Up PHL, and just so many other organizations working on this. We have to work harder. We have to do more, which brings me to story number 3. The Trump administration told federal agencies to end racial sensitivity training on white privilege and critical race theory, calling the training, quote, divisive anti-American propaganda. Trump also threatened to defund California if the state taught school lessons based on the 1619 Project, which traces slavery and Jim Crow in America. This after the president saw some guy complaining about anti-racism training on Fox News. I wish I was making this up, but yeah, he's getting his policy from Fox News. And before you say I'm lying, there's a memo. It was sent to federal agencies by the director of the Office of Management and Budget, and that memo says so-called press reports claim that training sessions on racism contribute to racial division. In other words, the Trump administration believes it's racist to talk about racism. That's unfortunate, because in order to solve a problem, you have to admit that it's there. But Trump don't want us to talk about racism because in his mind, admitting that racism exists is un-American propaganda. In essence, Trump is calling us liars. And you know what? It takes one to know one. Except we're not the ones telling lies. It's true that black folks are 2.5 times more likely to be shot by police than whites. That's racism. And it's real. It's true that even at 4 years old, black kids are more likely to be suspended than their white counterparts. That's racism, and it's real. Lending discrimination, real. Housing discrimination, real. Employment discrimination, real. We ain't make up slavery, Jim Crow, police brutality, or black codes. We ain't make up redlining, zoning laws, restricting covenants, or the war on drugs. America made all of that up, and all of it is racism. We want to solve the scourge of racism in America. We want our country to live up to its promise. But in order to do that, America must first face the truth in all its ugliness. Only then can we truly make it right. We want to hear from you. Give us a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. You can also hit us on Facebook at onWURD. That's FORWURD, FORWURD, and let us know where you are on any of these things we are talking about on this morning's show. So the president and his administration sent out a memo to federal agencies and said, y'all going to have to stop teaching this racial sensitivity training. Stop doing that because we don't want it. Right? And basically what they said in the memo was that this racial sensitivity training paints a particular race as being inherently evil. That means you're born evil, you are evil, you stay evil. That's just how you are. That's in you. That's what inherently means, right? And so they're saying that because you're teaching people about the history of our country, because you're teaching people about racism, you're saying that white people, right? Because that's what they didn't say in the memo. They're saying that you're saying that white people are inherently evil. Now, those of you who've listened to my show know that I don't believe that. Racism is taught, right? Racism is something that is learned. It's something that you get in your environment. It's something that you get at home. It's something that you get from the people you're around. When kids are babies, guess what? If a white baby and a black baby see each other, guess what they're going to do? They're going to look at each other. They're going to try to play with each other. They're going to try to be with each other because all they see is a baby. They don't know anything about race. And so the whole notion that by teaching about American history, by teaching about racial sensitivity, about trying to tell people to treat each other with respect no matter what color you are, the notion that by doing that you are somehow saying white people are inherently evil is a joke. But I feel like they don't want people to really understand the history of our country because they don't want people to be angry. They don't want people to know the truth. They want people to believe that somehow things just happen like this and that it's not all structured and put in place by people who wanted their kids to be on top forever. Right? They want us to believe that somehow this is just a coincidence that black people and brown people are on the bottom. They want us to believe that this just happened by happenstance. They want us to believe we just didn't work hard enough. We're just not good enough. We're just not smart enough, right? They want us to believe that somehow this happened because we are in fact inferior. Right? So we don't want you to understand the history of this country. We don't want you to understand structural racism. We don't want you to understand that, no, things are designed this way. We want you to think that it's just by happenstance, that it's just because you're not good enough. Right? And so we'll say that by teaching about the history of race in this country, that somehow you are saying that white people are inherently evil. That somehow you are saying that this country is inherently a racist place, that everybody contributes to racism, right? Now, people benefit from racism, whether they like it or not. But no, everybody doesn't necessarily get themselves involved in it. Some people fight against it, right? And you can't be fighting against racism while at the same time contributing to it. Right. And so, you know, you have some people who contribute to it every single day. But you have some people who fight against it. Some people who've given their lives for it. Violet Liozzo gave her life during the civil rights movement. When you talk about Schwerner, Goodman, and Cheney, two of those people who died in Mississippi were white. Heather Heyer, who got run over by a car while protesting racism, was white. The two people that got shot in Kenosha, Wisconsin, were white while standing up against racism. So, no, everybody isn't involved in actively contributing to racism. Some people who don't look like us are actually fighting against it. I got to be honest about that. That's the truth, right? But all white people benefit from racism in America. That's the difference. Nobody's saying that you actively involved in it just because you white. But if you're not fighting against it, well, you kind of helping it exist. If you're just sitting there letting it happen, you helping it exist. That's the truth, whether you're black or white. And so to try to stop people from learning about the history of our country, to try to stop people from learning about the structures that help racism to exist, you're engaging in a cover-up. I mean, it's not new. You covered up everything else. You're trying to cover up right now for what's happening in your administration. I get it. I understand it. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't stand up against it. You have a president who does not want people to learn about the history of this country, who does not want federal agencies to try to do better on race, who's threatening to defund California for trying to teach kids about the history of this country. I want to know what you think. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Let us know where you are on these various things that we're talking about on this morning show. The gun violence in Philadelphia at record highs in August. 275 people shot in Philadelphia. Not killed, but shot. 275 people shot in Philadelphia in a single month. I want to hear from you. Give us a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation. You can also hit us on Twitter, Instagram, at onWURD. And, of course, you can weigh in on Facebook at Forward. I'm Solomon Jones. This is WURD Radio. We'll be right back.
Now, a Word Radio weather update.
And a good Tuesday morning where we had a beautiful holiday weekend. And we're going to see mostly sunny skies this afternoon after we see some fog this morning and some low clouds. Otherwise, it's hot and humid, high of 87. Tonight, partly cloudy with patchy fog forming, low 68. Wednesday, it's muggy and warm with spotty showers possible, high of 83. And don't forget, you can get your neighborhood weather forecast with our free NBC 10 app.
Well, it's been a fairly heavy Tuesday morning rush hour here in the Philadelphia area so far. Just building up a little bit of extra volume heading directly back from the shore after the long holiday weekend. The Atlantic City Expressway and 42 freeway seeing some heavier volume. Not any big delays, though. A little sluggishness north on 42 right around 295. Trying to go north on 55, though. We're jammed from Deptford all the way up to that merge with the 42 freeway. Trying to go south on I-95. A lengthy crawl heading into the construction zone approaching Cottman all the way down through Bridge Street. Once you're in the construction, a little sluggishness again from Allegheny on down through Girard. And still a bit of a delay on the eastbound Schuylkill Expressway from the Roosevelt Boulevard into Spring Garden Street, left over from an earlier accident, now cleared. This traffic report is sponsored by Lowe's. Lowe's has what you need to bring reliability to your laundry room: a Maytag front-load laundry pair in an exclusive metallic slate finish. Shop Labor Day deals and get up to 35% off select appliances like this Maytag laundry pair and more. Offer valid through 9/16, U.S. only. For more traffic information, go to sigalert.com. I'm Randy Chepigan with your Philadelphia area traffic.
Pico has many ways to help you lower your energy usage and save money at home. Here's one. If your heating and cooling system is more than 20 years old, it may be time for your contractor to replace it with a high-efficiency Energy Star certified model. You'll get a rebate from Pico and save on your monthly electric bill. You'll find a list of new heating and cooling system rebates at pico.com/rebates. Or you can call 1-888-5-PICO-SAVE for all the details. Plus, find instant discounts on smart thermostats and more at pico.com/marketplace. There's free shipping on orders over $49.
No fear, just facts.
On 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD, and we're taking your calls at 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. We're talking about a number of things on this morning morning show, including the fact that the Trump administration now telling federal agencies do not have racial sensitivity training that includes anything about white privilege or critical race theory, and threatening to defund education in California if they continue trying to teach the 1619 curriculum. You'll remember the 1619 project. It was done by the New York Times. A number of writers contributed to it, and it kind of traced the history of race in America from slavery until now. And they don't want that taught in California, so they're talking about defunding California's education. Now, the federal government only gives about 10% to education anyway. So if they defund California, which I don't know if they can do, that wouldn't be their whole educational system, but you get the threat, right? And so I want to hear from you. I want to know what you think about that. Also, in Philadelphia, gun violence at a record high, 275 people shot in August in the city of Philadelphia, even as a number of organizations, a number of agencies, a number of people try to work on this issue. This is a strange time, man. When you have millions of people out of work across the country, and black people are, of course, affected by that more than anybody else. When you have a pandemic where a lot of people have been kind of on lockdown, the streets emptier than they normally would be. When you have poverty, when you have lack of educational opportunity, when you have all of these things, it leads to gun violence. And it's not just in Philadelphia, it's in other cities across the country as well, where you've seen gun violence increase. Add to that craziness at the top in terms of the leadership of this country. And you kind of see how this can happen. But we've got to do something about it because our kids are dying. 2 17-year-olds. 17 years old, man, dead as a result of gunfire this weekend. A man lying in his bed, minding his business. 30 shots fired outside. One of them comes through the window and hits him. That kind of thing. Women and children being shot. Something has to be done. Now, we continue to work on it, with Man Up PHL, mentoring men one life at a time, trying to change the trajectory of the men's lives who we mentor. But it has to be more than that. It has to be more than the Black Male Community Council going out to these street corners and interacting and cleaning and trying to set an example. It has to be more than Mothers in Charge. It has to be more than the Amir Healing Center. It has to be more. It has to be all of us. It has to be all of us, man, because our kids are dying, and they're dying before they even really have a chance to live. So I want to hear about that as well. Of course, Donald Trump denying the bombshell story published by The Atlantic that alleged that he had repeatedly mocked U.S. soldiers in battle and skipped a visit to a veterans cemetery in France because he thought the rain might mess up his hair. Like, this dude, don't care about anybody, man. Like, the details in the story are unbelievable. He's at a cemetery with General John Kelly. You'll remember John Kelly. John Kelly was one of the chiefs of staff for Donald Trump. He was a decorated Marine Corps general, right? So he's at a cemetery with John Kelly. John Kelly's son is buried at that cemetery. John Kelly's son died as a soldier, right, for the United States. This dude, according to this story, turns to John Kelly and says, I don't understand. What was in it for them? His son in the ground. You sitting there next to him talking about, I don't understand what was in it for them. But here's the thing, right? If you're John Kelly, why do you go on to work for this dude if you know that this is his sentiment? See, I don't just blame Donald Trump. It's the people around him, enabling him, knowing that he's crazy, knowing that this is his mindset, knowing that he cares about nobody but himself, and you working for him anyway. John Kelly went on to become his chief of staff after that happened. Why would you work for him? That's my question. It really is. I want to hear from you. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. Let's go to Bernie from Willingboro on line 1. Go ahead, Bernie.
Hey, how you doing, Solomon?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, beautiful, beautiful, man. I missed your show yesterday, man.
Oh man. Okay.
I woke
Well,
up-
you didn't miss it. We were off yesterday.
Yeah.
Thank God. I needed a day.
I know you did.
Yeah, man.
Man, I know your wife, man. She cooked you something good yesterday.
Yeah, we did. We had some ribs. We had to go and buy the ribs because we went to go get the ribs. Of course, the day before Labor Day to store out of ribs, so we had to go buy the ribs. But we had some ribs. We had some baked beans. We had some coleslaw. We had some corn muffins. We had a little something.
Man, that's all right. Yeah, I want to tell you. I want to ask you about something that was brought up.
Okay.
And I said I want to make a point right here. When Obama was in office, man, none of this stuff was happening, man.
No, it wasn't.
None of this stuff. No killing for the kids or anything. None of that was happening. But when this man came in office, look what's going on. And, I mean, he's a liar. I mean, everything, man. And I want to ask you about something.
Okay.
There was a young lady that was one of the. She wrote something in the tabloid, and that something about Goldsberg. You ever heard of that one?
No.
Goldsberg. What happened about with Trump? What's going on with Trump? How he demeaned her and everything else. You didn't hear that one?
There's a lot of women that said that. There's about 16 women that said that before he even got in office.
Wow, man. It was a reporter, like she wrote that something, about what you was talking about earlier, about the soldiers, that grave site and everything.
Well, actually, there was the person who wrote the Atlantic piece is named Goldberg, but he's named Jeffrey Goldberg.
His name is what?
Jeffrey. He's a man.
Goldberg?
Yeah.
So he was the one that wrote it?
I'm going to have to look it up because I'm not sure what you're talking about, but I want to thank you for your call this morning on WURD. The person who wrote the Atlantic piece, I believe, is named Jeffrey Goldberg, so I'm not sure what woman wrote a piece talking about he demeaned her. Jeffrey Goldberg wrote a piece saying that he demeaned U.S. soldiers, so maybe you're confusing the two, but I'll look it up and see if I can find it. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That's the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio and let us know where you are on these various things we're talking about on this morning's show. Let's talk to Jim from West Philly on line 3. Go ahead, Jim.
Well, I can definitely understand Donald's take on the military, him being a decorated war draft dodger.
That's about it. Lord have mercy. I got bone spurs in my feet. What? Get out of here, man.
Decorated draft dodgers. Many of them wanted to stay here and get in position and all, and that's the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the thing on this gun violence, when you say 275 in August, that comes out to like over 9 a day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, and how can the police stop it? I mean, if somebody has got a gun, either because they're scared to death or they feel it gives them so much power and all, until they go out and shoot somebody, how do you know they got? How do you take it from them? They're not going to voluntarily turn it in or whatever. I mean, it's almost no answer to that unless it comes from within or whatever, the things that trigger it and all. I mean, and then the ones that are not shot, how many people are held up by gun or intimidated and everything with that? So outside of prayer, and I don't know what to do with that, how you going to do it, all the organizations and all. Because responsible people don't do that. But you got people out there just like the ones, I ain't going to wear a mask. They got parties going on, all this stuff everywhere. Don't take it serious. I don't know where it's going to go, but, it's good to be an old person. Because, I'm looking, I wouldn't want to be a young person right now. I don't know.
Yes.
And then when you can,
It's crazy.
when you can do something as simple as vote to change it, because if you don't vote and get Trump out, are you going to be able to tolerate 4 more years of this? Where are you going to be at then?
Mm-hmm.
You know he's a nutcase, and he's throwing up everything he can to distract. I mean, all these stories, even this thing about what he said about the war heroes, it takes away from the basic facts that he's not doing anything for America to improve America.
I hear you, man. I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD. Let's go to Brother Gary from Chester on line 4. Go ahead, Brother Gary.
Solomon Jones, thanks for taking my call.
You're welcome.
Solomon Jones, the average age of a voter is what, Solomon?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Well, because here's my question. Because I'm looking at, like, the Senate, the Congress, and everybody, all these old guys. And I'm just trying to figure out, like, why aren't the young people trying to be more involved with politics? Because, I mean, let's be true. Well, you probably never worked in a nursing home. But a white man gets 70 C's in a diaper. Now, he can tell all the lies he wants to and act like he's a strong guy. But trust me, he's in a diaper, especially white folks. You know what I mean? And I'm just saying, like, I wonder where all the young people at. Because I see AOC. I mean, she's okay, but she's a little too radical for me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she's a young person, and she pulled it off. The young lady in Philadelphia, the Spanish woman, Quinones, she holds her own without having help from the Democrat Party. So there's a group of people who can hold their own. I'm just saying, but somebody to carry the masses, I don't see them kind of people running for office. I like the boy in Florida, so I come to find out he like that coach. The brother who lost the election. So we got to find out some real good candidates, Solomon.
Yeah, we do. And you have some young people running for office. You had a couple of new, much younger city council members this time around. And you have some younger state reps who've run and have won office. But I hear your point. I think that you definitely have to have a younger generation at least interested in politics, because we need new and young leadership. So you're right, Brother Gary. I appreciate you. I appreciate your call, brother.
Thank you, Solomon.
All right. So we're going to go back to the phone lines. Valerie from Southwest is on line 1. Go ahead, Valerie.
God bless everybody. And the last caller, I hope no young people come behind that damn Trump. I don't want, I don't want my grandchildren to grow up under that stigma at all. I wanted to say I love your radio show.
Thank you.
I love you.
Thank you.
And you wear more than one hat.
I do indeed.
And I used to be in radio. But I'm asking the young people, like, just keep on going. Follow your dream and don't follow Trump. God bless and goodbye.
All right. Thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD. If you want to get in, you can, of course, weigh in on the phone lines at 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. You can also hit us on Facebook at onWURD. That's FORWURD, FORWURD, and let us know where you are on these various things we are talking about on this morning show. FORWURD. That's FORWURD. So we're talking about a number of things this morning, including the bombshell report that came out from the Atlantic, and it has been really a back and forth, a push and pull, a tug of war over the weekend, as the Trump administration has tried to beat back claims that the president called war heroes suckers and losers. Right? People who lost their lives, particularly in the Battle of Belleau Wood. It's an iconic battle for the U.S. Marine Corps, where over 1,800 Marines lost their lives. They're buried in a cemetery in France, and the president didn't want to go to the cemetery. Now, some people say it's because, the weather was bad and the helicopter couldn't fly in that weather, and others say it's because it would have been a 90-minute trip. But in this article, The Atlantic says that according to 4 anonymous sources who are familiar with the president's thinking and who were there, that he said that he didn't want to go because the people are suckers and losers, right? That, why you want to die for, in the military? Why would you want to do that? Right? Why would you want to die for this country? Now, he's made a great show of patriotism, right? Getting on the stage, hugging the flag and all this nonsense, right? But, this story, it has legs because it goes with all of the other stuff. He's already said, he called John McCain a loser in 2015. Like, don't say you didn't call these war heroes a loser. Here it is. John McCain went to Vietnam, right? Was held prisoner for 5 years. You was a draft dodger who claimed you had bone spurs in your feet. Get out of here, man. How you going to say anything about these cats, man? How can you say anything about them when you were too scared to serve? I want to hear from you. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. Jacob from Alney's on line 1. Go ahead, Jacob.
Hey, good morning. Peace be unto you, Brother Solomon.
Same to you.
You sound rested. You sound nice and full, like you had a good time with your family.
I sure did.
So that's all right. That's greatly needed.
Mm-hmm.
Solomon, look, we don't even need to prove anything about this guy anymore.
Mm-mm.
The only thing he hadn't done is went out in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shot somebody. He
How about
did
that?
do that,
Mm.
and then they'll try to defend that too.
Mm-hmm.
But, to common sense, everyday people, we see what we see, right? And a lot of people say it doesn't make a difference, but I'm saying this here: if the man gets another